Ladies and gentlemen, it's star time. Jury's Hotel proudly present Ireland's international comedian, Hal Roach.
I was in the church the other night and Father Murphy was in great form in the pulpit. He stood up there, he gave us hell, fire and brimstone, the lot. He frightened the life out of us, he really did. He said, "Stand up, all those who want to go to heaven." Of course, we all stood up immediately. He said, "Sit down," and we all sat down. Now he said, "Stand up, all those who want to go to hell." Nobody stood up except Flanagan in the middle of the church. And Father Murphy said, "Flanagan, do you want to go to hell?" And Flanagan said, "No, Father," he said, "but I didn't like to see you standing there by yourself." There's this television program here in Dublin, and it's for children, you see, and they give a special prize, you see, for the best, the most intelligent child on this program. So the MC said, now he said to the children, he said, "I want you to tell me who was the greatest man that ever lived." And this little boy stood up and said, he said, "Sir, Leonardo da Vinci." And the MC said, "A very good answer." He said, "He wasn't the greatest man that ever lived." And this other little boy said, "Please, sir," he said, "it was Alexander Graham Bell who invented the telephone." And the MC said, "A very good answer, but not quite what I was looking for." And then this little Jewish boy stood up and said, "Please, sir, the greatest man that ever lived," he said, was St. Patrick. And, of course, the kid won the prize right away. So after the television program, the MC said, "Rather unusual for a little Jewish boy to say St. Patrick. Why did you say that?" And the kid said, he said, "Well, deep in my heart," he said, "I know it was Moses, but business is business." I mean, you got to get it down. I like that. This fellow O'Shaughnessy was a hypochondriac. He was a terrible case altogether. When he died on his tombstone, he had his own epitaph, and it read, "Now will you believe I'm sick?" God between us and all harm, but there's none of us perfect, as you know. Wait till I tell you. This judge here in Dublin was a bit cross-eyed like myself, honest to God, yes. And one day he was in court and there was 3 fellas standing before him to be sentenced. And with the cross eyes, God help us, you can imagine what would happen. When you hear this, so he was addressing the 3 of them, and he said to the first fella, "What's your name?" And the second fella answered, "Pat Murphy." The judge says, "I wasn't talking to you." And the third fella said, "I never opened my mouth." Write it down, it's a good one. Write it down. God knows it's simple. Wait till I tell you, I have a quotation here from the Kerryman newspaper, you know, down in Kerry. You probably heard about the Kerryman that was disqualified from the tug-of-war team for pushing. I like it. This is from the Kerryman newspaper. A supermarket was broken into the other night and 5,000 cigarettes and 10 dozen heads of lettuce were stolen. The police are now looking for a rabbit with a bad cough. Can you hear me on the mantelpiece over there? You can? Oh, there's the rich people on the shelf. Good evening. Oh, yes, they're all the rich people tonight. Yes, indeed. Did you hear about this fella O'Shaughnessy wanted to be buried at sea and 4 of the lads were drowned trying to dig the grave? This fella, Murphy, the priest was trying to get him off drink for years, but it was no good. He was drunk out of his mind day and night. And one day he met the priest in the street and he said, "Father, what's lumbago?" And the priest thought, "This is it, I'll frighten the life out of him." He said, "That's what you get," he said, "when you're out half the night drinking." He said, "Too much wine, women and song," he said, "and staggering and making a general nuisance of yourself." "Why do you ask?" And your man said, "I was reading in the paper this morning that the bishop has it." Oh, I only wish I could be out there with you to hear this. This fellow Murphy was up in court the other day and the judge said to him, "Murphy, you were brought here by 2 police officers." He said, "I was, Your Honour." The judge said, "Drunk, I suppose?" He said, "Yes, Your Honour, they were, the 2 of them." This fellow Murphy went to the barber's last week. He said to the barber, "How much is a haircut?" The barber said, £3. He said, "How much is a shave?" He said, £1. He said, "Right, shave me head." Write it down, it's a good one. Good one, it's a lovely good one. Hello? Up in Donegal one night late, I was trying to get a room for the night, you see, with my chest. But anyway, I have a bad chest. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, I was knocking at this boarding house in the hills of Donegal. And eventually the woman opened the top window and she called down to me. She said, "What do you want?" I said, "Can I stay here for the night?" She said, "Yes." And with that, she slammed the window down and left me standing there. Everybody's explaining that to everybody else. So, can I stay here for the night? Yes. A lot of people have been admiring this. Now, madam, you're a good judge of jewelry. That diamond I'm wearing, just take a look at that beautiful diamond ring. Isn't it lovely? The story behind that is very interesting. Concerns my mother-in-law. What a woman, drummed out of the Gestapo for cruelty. She's dead. Gone now. At least I hope she's gone. You can't trust them. Before she died, she called me to her bedside. She said, "Hal, during my lifetime, I have amassed a great amount of money." She said, "And when I'm dead, in remembrance of me, I want you to get a nice stone." Look at that ring. Isn't it beautiful? Beautiful job. Diamond. Lovely. It's a piece of glass, but it looks good. You know, ladies and gentlemen, the show you're watching now has just finished a coast-to-coast tour of the United States and Canada. We did 48 states in 3 months. It was incredible. The traveling was incredible. We were in places like Cody, Wyoming. Have you ever been there? Yes. I slept in Buffalo Bill's bed there. I was in Tucumcari in New Mexico. I was in Pascagoula. I was in Riverton and all over America. It was quite incredible. But New York still has a fascination for me. Oh, yes. Yes, it fascinates me that I can survive in the place. But I tell you... It's lovely. I could start a war here tonight, you know that. We've been in enough trouble as it is, but however... No, wait to tell you, no, honest to God. New York is fascinating. Did you ever notice if you stand still in the streets of New York for 15 seconds, somebody writes on you? Yes. I went to Macy's one day shopping. I said to the lady, "I'd like to buy a few things." She said, "Of course. Do you have a list?" I said, "No, I always stand like this." List. I bought... Yeah, list. I bought a book in Macy's called How to Be Happy Without Money. It costs $40. I went down to the basement, by the way, and I said to the guy, "Could you show me the cheapest suit in the store?" He says, "You're wearing it." On St. Patrick's Day, we were in Buffalo, New York. We crossed over the border to Welland, and we went into to see Niagara Falls. It's quite a sight, isn't it? Did you hear about the Irish plumber looking at Niagara Falls? He said, "I think I can fix this." Yeah. But it was really terrific over there. I mean, and then, of course, we went to Las Vegas. Very exciting in Las Vegas. I have property there now. 2 of the hotels are holding my bags. Did you hear about the Irish farmer that was awarded the Nobel Prize for being outstanding in his own field? Up in the north of Ireland in the country, there's a man riding down the road on a donkey and his poor wife walking behind him. Yes, I said, "Why is your wife walking and you're riding a donkey?" And he said, "She hasn't got a donkey." It's a good straight answer if you think about it. Any guests here tonight from the Gresham Hotel? The Gresham? Where? Here. Your bus is gone. Two rabbits been chased by a pack of wolves, and one rabbit said to the other, "Let's get down in this hole and stay there till we outnumber them." The other rabbit said, "Keep running, I'm your brother. I'll tell you this, we don't..." We get many distinguished people to our cabaret over the years here, and since we opened last May, we had Mr. Omar Sharif playing bridge in Dublin here come to see us. A couple of weeks later, we had Mr. Great American comedian Jackie Gleason. Oh, the greatest. The Honeymooners. Oh, fantastic. We had Mr. Harry Reasoner here, your newsreader from America, with Miss Barbara Walters, together. Nobody believes me. They were at the same table, believe it or not. And the famous Hollywood cowboy here 3 weeks ago, we were delighted to see Mr. Gene Autry. Do you remember Gene Autry? A marvellous man, lovely man. Yes. And Princess Caroline, just before she married, of course, was here with her mother, Princess Grace, and Prince Rainier of Monaco. Lovely people. I think last night eclipsed everything for me. A little card came off one of the tables inviting me to join them for a glass of champagne after the show. This is not a hint of any kind, of course, but, you know, feel free to please yourselves, of course. I went down to the table and I was introduced to His Majesty King Faisal of Saudi Arabia. Well, that's what the man said. He said, if you're a comedian, I'm... Well, you can't win them all. When I was a little boy, I used to listen very attentively to my mother and my father talking because my parents had a certain way of talking. Even at that age, I realised was different to other people. I made a long-playing album about Irish humour. It took me many years to do it, and I devoted most of it to the authenticity of Irish conversation because we're so different when we talk. It would be a great shame if we ever lost this. And there's a little bit of Irish in everybody. And for the next couple of minutes as I talk now, you will recall with nostalgia that your parents and your friends and your grandparents used to talk this way. Now, when we talk, we answer a question first, and then we ask it. We do. We say things like, you won't have a drink, will you? Or you're not going out, are you? Do you know what I mean? A woman met me in the lobby tonight. She said, you're not Hal Roach, are you? Do you know what I mean? Talk that way. I love when they walk up to you and they look you straight in the eye and they say, is that yourself? I mean, who else, for God's sake? I also like when you're walking down the street and somebody recognises you and they say, ha ha, there you are. I love that one. I mean, that's a brilliant deduction, that is. I was sitting at that table one night and a fellow from Galway recognised me. He walked right up to me and he said to me, have you not gone home yet? And him looking at me sitting at the table. But this is the way your parents used to talk. I arrived in the lobby here one night with 2 suitcases and the porter took my bags and said, Mr. Roach, follow me and I'll be right behind you. That's what he said. We talk like that, honest to God. How many times since you arrived in Ireland have you been sitting in the lobby of a hotel or a restaurant and there's an empty chair like that beside you? Inevitably, somebody will come up to you and say, is there anybody sitting there? Right? I bet it happened today. Did it happen today? It'll happen again tomorrow. All day long. All day long.